My impression is that CEOs often feel a lot of chronic pressure. And so I'm going to first ask Mazen to share with us, both in your experience, because you work with a lot of CEOs, you talk to a lot of CEOs, you are the founder of a company, an NGO yourself. There's sometimes this feeling of pressure. What are the effects of chronic pressure on a human being?
The first thing actually that comes to mind, where it's really aligned with this topic, it's how pressure affects decisions. And then when we start to connect that actually running on pressure, on reserve, and really always pushing, it really will have an influence on strategy making, on decision, very fast decisions. For the simple reason is that pressure is not just a word, it's a feeling, and it's just accumulation of emotions that has to do with taking responsibility, having a lot of responsibility toward the task at hand, toward the company, toward the departments, toward the leaders, toward the employees, toward the board. And actually that translates within the body. It's a high amount of stress and the feeling like I don't have much space. And that changes. So the emotional component under stress, under pressure, is different. And we know very well that decision making are influenced with our state of being. The state of being mainly is how we feel, what's an emotion is very present, and this influences the way how we think, and subsequently it affects the way how we speak, how we act, and how we behave. So for a simple, very scientific understanding of it, pressure, understanding all of the body brain system, leads to effect on strategy making and decision making and how we behave with our environment. It will be different than when we are out where at least pressure is a bit controlled.
And can you share with me a little bit, Mazen, what is the impact on an organism, a human, when they're under this chronic stress?
So chronic stress, like stress in general, is an adaptation, physiological and psychological mechanism, coping mechanism that has been really within evolution of the species. Every single species, animal, everything have one thing in common: a stress response. And it's a very physiological component, and it has, of course, a psychological component. It's really our key for adaptation. So when we have something that creates a trigger that it brings out stress within our system, stress is something positive. It's telling us, makes us more alert, right? So we become very alert to the environment to try to seek something to get out of that feeling, because that feeling just telling us to be alert, something is not going well. Either there's danger, so in the jungle, or like there's danger, move. But if we don't have a stress feedback, we would not survive. I would cross the street without even noticing, and then I'll be hit by a car. So stress is the main coping mechanism. So it's mainly designed, designed, engineered through by nature, the one and only one, and to really make us evolve in a way that's very healthy and find a way, like kids finding way toward adulthood, and then a species find way to reproduce, and then goes on. So stress is mainly a coping mechanism to make us deal accurately in the moment with what is needed, because everything that's happening is happening to the body right now. So we're always reacting to the environment. Animals very little cognate, start to think about the future and worry and stress about the future. They really deal with their environment. So they don't, in that sense, live in the same time forward time. And us, we really live in this forward time. I didn't finish the task. I didn't finish this. So the constant thinking about I'm late, I didn't finish the task, I have responsibility, start to create a certain stress, but it's self-imposed beyond what's only the environment is imposing. And sometimes, of course, the environment is imposing all those things that has to be taken care of. So in a sense, that's really create a chronic way of stress. Unfortunately, 95% of physical, emotional, mental diseases are triggered by chronic stress. Chronic stress really influences the immune system, the digestive system, uh, and everything. It really brings the body to havoc. Like you really have a really make everything the body very susceptible to pathogen, to diseases, and then it really challenges on a mental level. So chronic stress is we're used to it in the way in the Western world how we are. It's we feel it's normal, but it's not. It really taxate a lot the body, the well-being, the mental health, and the emotional well-being.
So, Krisana, imagine a leader, top leader, CEO is coming to you and they really need some support. Just in the last week, we've had a handful of CEOs we've talked to that are feeling a lot of pressure. And they feel this sense of kind of like, there's so much demand on me. What would you do to support an individual who's coming and saying, I just feel so much pressure right now. There's so much demand upon me.
When you have a lot of pressure, it means you have a lot of accumulation in held in your body and mind. So I would support them to find ways to um, release some of the pressure. Accumulation of stress, when you accumulate and you accumulate a lot of build up and it's stress, it then in the end becomes chronic, as Mazen was talking about. Then it's chronic. So some people may even say, oh, but I don't have chronic stress. I'm just stressed, but I have this accumulation that will then build up more and more pressure. So I support them. First of all, I look at what, there's lifestyle choices I ask them, are they exercising? How is their diet? Are they eating well? Are they drinking excess coffee? Or, to take off the pressure, take off the stress, just a few couple of drinks in the nighttime, and then some self-medicating in the evenings, taking sleeping pills or self-medicating with a bit of cannabis or a little bit of cocaine. These are all ways to one part is to release pressure, but it's not. It's just masking the pressure. And so I support them by supporting them to look at their emotional health and their mental health and their physical health. And also to do time management with them where time at work ends and where time or when space at home or in outside of work, and try to bring them a bit more into a balance for them, or at least get them to see that in themselves. That's more of a mapping for them in the beginning.
Can you describe to me a little bit from like a body level, like if you were almost to embody it, like someone who's really under a lot of like pressure and worry, and how it might be different once an opening starts to happen, a relaxation. Oh, like what is the difference between A and B on a kind of more somatic level?
Well, first of all, people, when they get under pressure, some people, some body somatics, body types experience the pressure in different ways. For example, if I sense myself going under pressure, I tend to have more of a anger response. So I tend to like want to release the pressure. Some other people, when they're under pressure, there's more of a, I can't deal with this. And there's more of an inward disintegration inside. So you have to first understand where you notice that's indicating that you're under pressure, and how you can support yourself to release some of the pressure. For me, is getting space from what is pressuring me, exercise, going for walks, movement, eating well, being creative, but also setting in proper time management to complete tasks that are the priority. And then, so for other people who are under pressure, and it affects them a different way somatically, is to also support them to get in contact with their body so they can feel more grounded in the body, so that they can find ways to support themselves to actively, through the body, release some of the pressure. So pressure is affected in people different ways. You have to first feel in your body and discover, when you feel pressure, how do you experience pressure in the body?
And I'll just share personally, as one of the three co-founders of Three Peaks. So I at times go into the feeling of pressure. And what supports me is having just time and space and allowing myself to really kind of allow a creative spirit or energy to emerge. So when I'm kind of allow myself to just, wow, what do I really feel like doing right now? What can I create in this moment? And not from a should, but just really like what is alive in me right now that wants to be expressed. That is really one of the biggest supports for me, to just bring some levity, some creativity, some just ease and enjoyment, and just to enjoy myself even for a few moments has been a really big resource.